Steve McQueen's jealousy toward James Garner ran deep, but in 1966, their rivalry exploded when Garner landed a role McQueen desperately wanted. What followed was a tale of rage, revenge, and a racing film that ended their friendship forever. The most shocking part? McQueen refused to watch Garner's movie until his dying days, when he realized he had been wrong all along. Born on March 24, 1930, in Beech Grove, Indiana, McQueen's childhood was turbulent. His father abandoned him as a baby, and his alcoholic mother sent him to live with his great-uncle Claude, the closest thing he ever had to a father. Claude taught him discipline and hard work, but when McQueen's mother took him back, life turned brutal. Abusive stepfathers, gang life, and homelessness became his reality. After being sent to a reform school at 14, McQueen finally found structure. Though he resisted at first, he earned respect and later supported the school even after becoming famous. But his rebellious streak remained. He drifted through jobs: lumberjack, oil rig worker, even a towel boy in a brothel, before getting arrested and spending 30 days on a chain gang. That was a wake-up call. At 17, he joined the U.S. Marine Corps. His defiance continued, going AWOL, demotions, and solitary confinement, until he became a hero, saving 5 Marines from drowning. He was later selected for Truman's Honor Guard and, after 3 years, was honorably discharged. After leaving the military, McQueen discovered acting. Using his GI Bill benefits, he joined the Neighborhood Playhouse in 1952, bringing raw intensity to every role. His breakthrough came in 1958 with The Blob, a low-budget sci-fi film. Though he was 28 playing a teenager, his performance was magnetic. The film grossed $4 million, but McQueen had turned down a profit-sharing deal, earning only $3,000, a mistake he regretted for years. Despite this, The Blob got him noticed. Hollywood producer Dick Powell cast him in Trackdown, where he played a bounty hunter. Audiences loved him, leading to his own show, Wanted, Dead or Alive, 1958 to 1961. The series made him a star. 3 hard mother-grabbing years, he later said, but I learned my trade, and it gave me discipline. That discipline would propel him to Hollywood greatness. As Wanted, Dead or Alive wrapped up, Hollywood came calling. In 1960, Steve McQueen landed a role in The Magnificent Seven, a Western remake of Seven Samurai with an all-star cast, including Yul Brynner, Charles Bronson, and James Coburn. Brynner was the lead, but McQueen had no plans to stay in the background. Still under contract, McQueen faked a car accident to get time off. On set, he pulled tricks, adjusting his hat, loading his gun, anything to steal scenes from Brynner. Brynner, furious, even hired someone to count McQueen's hat touches. But McQueen didn't care. When the film hit theaters in 1960, it was a smash, making over $2 million. The score became legendary, and the movie was later preserved in the U.S. National Film Registry. Meanwhile, James Garner's path to fame was anything but easy. Born James Scott Bumgarner on April 7, 1928, in Norman, Oklahoma, his childhood was harsh. His mother died when he was 4, and his abusive stepmother tormented him, even forcing him to wear dresses to humiliate him. At 14, his father finally divorced her, but the damage was done. Garner learned early he could only rely on himself. He dropped out of school at 16, bouncing between odd jobs before joining the Merchant Marines. It was miserable, and seasickness forced him to quit. Seeking stability, he enlisted in the Oklahoma National Guard, and by 1950, he was the first Oklahoman drafted into the Korean War. Garner spent 14 brutal months in combat, earning 2 Purple Hearts. War changed him. He had no patience for nonsense and wouldn't waste time chasing empty dreams. Acting wasn't in his plans, but in 1954, a friend suggested he try it. His first gig? A silent role as a judge in the Caine Mutiny court-martial on Broadway. The real lesson, however, came from watching Henry Fonda. His effortless, understated acting style shaped Garner's own. From there, Garner took small roles in commercials and Warner Brothers films, treating acting like any other job. Not a fantasy, just a paycheck. Ironically, that down-to-earth attitude made him a star. In 1957, Warner Brothers cast him in Maverick, a Western that stood out. Instead of the usual gunslinger, Garner played Brett Maverick, a witty gambler who used charm over violence. His humor and intelligence made the show a hit, launching him to fame. Maverick became a massive hit, even beating The Ed Sullivan Show at times. Unlike typical Western heroes, James Garner's Brett Maverick used wit and trickery over guns, making the show fresh and making Garner a star. Then came The Great Escape, 1963, a war film that became legendary. Steve McQueen played the rebellious Captain Virgil Cooler King Hiltz, while Garner portrayed Flight Lieutenant Bob Hendley, the resourceful scrounger. Hiltz took risks, Hendley made the plans. Together, they made the perfect team. The film twisted history, downplaying the British role in the real-life escape, but McQueen made it even more Hollywood. He demanded bigger action scenes, including the iconic motorcycle chase, which wasn't in the real escape. Though a stuntman performed the famous jump, McQueen never corrected the assumption that he did it himself. His constant need for attention frustrated Garner. At one point, McQueen even complained that Garner's white sweater made him look too heroic. Off-screen, their rivalry grew worse. McQueen, insecure about his status, counted script lines to ensure he had as much dialogue as his co-stars. He even threatened to quit unless his role was expanded. Frustrated, director John Sturges considered cutting him until Garner stepped in to keep him on board. Things turned personal when McQueen falsely suspected Garner of having an affair with his wife, Neely Adams. McQueen's jealousy was intense, once forcing Neely at gunpoint to confess to cheating. Garner, however, was devoted to his wife, Lois Clark, and had no history of infidelity. Despite the tension, The Great Escape became a classic. Their rivalry reignited in 1966 with Grand Prix, a film about Formula One racing. McQueen, a known racing fanatic, was set to star as Pete Aaron, but clashed with producer Edward Lewis and walked away. Some say he already had his own racing film in mind. With McQueen out, director John Frankenheimer cast Garner, who had no racing background. Garner personally called McQueen to break the news. McQueen's response was an awkward silence, a forced congratulations, and then a year of ignoring him. Garner, meanwhile, trained with racing legend Bob Bondurant, mastering high-speed driving and even performing his own stunts. By the end, real drivers admitted he could have gone pro. McQueen, forced to watch from the sidelines, seethed. He had wanted to bring Formula One to the big screen, only to see Garner do it first. That's when McQueen went all in on Le Mans, his own racing film. Determined to capture real speed and danger, he insisted on filming during an actual 24-hour Le Mans race. But without a proper script, the budget spiraled, and director John Sturges quit in frustration. When Le Mans finally released, it flopped. Critics called it lifeless, stunning visuals, but no story. McQueen had wanted to outdo Grand Prix. Instead, it nearly destroyed him. Meanwhile, Grand Prix won 3 Oscars and respect from the racing world. Years later, McQueen's son convinced him to watch it. He wouldn't admit it, but he knew it was a damn good film. The rivalry between McQueen and Garner got petty. Hollywood gossip even claimed McQueen once pissed on Garner's plants out of jealousy. True or not, one thing was clear. He never got over it. Over time, Le Mans earned cult status. While Grand Prix told a story, Le Mans put you in the driver's seat. Racing fans still love it. By the mid-70s, McQueen's career faded. After the towering inferno, he vanished from Hollywood, spending years racing motorcycles and driving cross-country in a motorhome. When he returned, the magic was gone. Films like An Enemy of the People, Tom Horn, and The Hunter flopped. Hollywood had moved on. Steve McQueen had it all: fame, fortune, and talent. But his demons consumed him. He drank, used drugs, and abused his wives. His first, Neely Adams, revealed he once held a gun to her head. His second, Ali McGraw, endured the same. No success could save him from himself. In 1978, a lingering cough turned out to be mesothelioma. Desperate, he spent a fortune on bizarre treatments in Mexico, but nothing worked. In November 1980, after surgery in Juarez, his heart stopped. He was gone at 50, forever a legend. James Garner, in contrast, thrived for decades. He won an Oscar nomination for Murphy's Romance, 1985, and delivered an unforgettable performance in The Notebook, 2004. More than a great actor, he stood up for what was right, suing Warner Brothers and Universal when they tried to cheat him. His fights helped future actors get fair pay. Years of stunts took a toll. He underwent heart surgery, multiple knee replacements, and suffered a severe stroke in 2008. Yet, he never lost his humor or kindness. On July 19, 2014, Garner passed at 86. Hollywood lost more than an actor. They lost a man of integrity. His legacy of strength and fairness endures.